you guys hear me? So before we start, I just want to mention our presentation does contain discussions surrounding violence towards both people and animals. I don't think there's nothing too graphic, so I don't want anyone to worry about it, but just wanted to mention that at the outset. So I'll hand over to Ahmad now, who'll begin our talk about integrated approaches for animal and human rights in the occupied Palestinian territories.
Assalamu alaikum. I hope that I can deliver my thoughts well in English for 1 hour, and if I couldn't deliver my ideas after in the discussion time, if anybody have a question or he didn't understand some of my English sentences, he can ask and we will explain it. So I will start with maybe I don't know if you know a little bit some history about Palestine and how we cannot be far away from politics in Palestine in all aspects of life. Before the establishment of Israel, Palestine in this area, which is all of these areas in the green, it was Palestine, and now they call it the historical Palestine. The areas were there in the green, in the white dots. It was when the British government gave a small settlement for the Zionist movement to come and base their social farms that it has been built during the British mandate. After the establishment of Israel, all of the Palestinians who living in this area, where my family live close to the coast, most of the Palestinians concentrate in this area, where we have this is the West Bank and this is Gaza, and this is depend on the UN resolution have been declared in 1948 after the established. So this is the area now. This is Palestine, and we can see that there is connection between Gaza Strip and West Bank. And all of the people who were in this area, the Palestinian pushed to move and become refugees in West Bank and Gaza, and many of them left to Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, and Egypt, and all of the countries that host the Palestinians during that time. This picture after, and then during that time we were under the Jordanian rules. Then after that, Israel occupied the whole area, and they give the area decrease, and so all of the concentration for the Palestinian was in this green area. This is after 67. From 67 to 2005, this is Palestine, the green area. This is what we like. This is what the Israeli give us to have the self-rule for the Palestinian. And in this area, also there is a lot of types. There is area A, area B, and area C, and it is very complicated to explain. But some areas it have security and social rule for the Palestinian Authority. Some area B, which have only social rules for the Palestinian Authority, and area C, all the authority for the Israeli at all. Then after 2005, and when the second intifada, uprising in English, but it's the second intifada, the Israeli government decided to build the wall. And this wall is surrounding the cities, and it cuts the cities, and now all of the Palestinian, most of the cities in Palestine are surrounding under the wall, and some of the cities now they have a gate. So this gate, this is the only space that the Palestinians can leave their cities from or out to this city. And some people said that this is because, like the Israeli expressed this, that we have security issues to build the wall, while the things in the ground were not, because this wall take all of the resources, water resources, and the agriculture, the good agriculture area, and they concentrate the Palestinian in small cantons, which is the cities only, and they separate them from their land. So they cut the relation between the Palestinian and the land through the wall. And most of the people who have been working in farming, and they have to cross to their land, they need permission to go to their land through the wall. One other thing that also they built the wall depend on the new discovery for the gas fracking. They start now discover gas fracking in the area, and now they are working on it. So they push the wall, depend on the resources under the ground, and they start doing gas fracking under the Palestinian village in close to Ramallah. Some people said that this wall is only against, didn't allow for the people only to move, but this is not true. Palestine have a diversity, a climate diversity. So we can see like in the north, it is very close to the beach, and it is like the beach area where there is humid and a lot of rain. In the middle, it is mountain in Ramallah, in Ramallah area, and Khalil and Hebron. And the Jordan Valley, it is valley, and it is the lowest area on the earth, which about 340 meters under the sea level. So this is diversity of the climate change. It's in the small pieces. Palestine is 27 something kilometer. So it is very small, and there is a climate that it is different. So the wildlife, like gazelle, the wolves, and some kind of birds move from inside Palestine. There is internal movement and external movement for the wildlife, and this is also the wall destroy this kind of movement. This is a small brief about the situation now in Palestine, and on advance, while we are talking now, we can talk more about the situation and how the political situation affect our work and how the things is going on. I will give the mic for Liz and
Okay, so Ahmed's just given you obviously an outline of the basic situation. He mentioned some of them. You're probably already starting to see how politics, animal rights, human rights are inevitably intertwined. Some of you also might have some questions, and we have been asked so many times two particular questions about our work. Ahmed, obviously, in the years he's been doing it. Me, while I've been involved for the last few years. And these questions come from both inside and outside of Palestine. The first one, and the one that we hear the most, is don't Palestinians have enough to worry about without worrying about animal rights? And that's something, when you've just listened to what's going on, then it's a sensible question, and it's something which springs to mind for many people. It can be phrased in different ways. So sometimes critical. A lot of people, why the hell are you working for animals when humans are suffering so much? It can be sort of forgiving, almost giving all Palestinians this kind of free pass, sort of, well, it's okay, you've got too many issues, you don't need to worry about animal rights. Or it could be, absolutely, I think as we've seen here at this conference, it's more sort of slightly in awe, actually. Like, isn't it absolutely fantastic that you guys are doing this work, despite the challenges? But still, sort of, I kind of assumed there wasn't an animal protection movement going on in Palestine. And all of those are perfectly reasonable. That's one of the things that we want to kind of critique and discuss in this presentation. The second statement we want to talk about is one which is always couched in critical terms, and that is forget the politics and focus on the animals. So this speaks to this idea of, rising above it. You should work with whoever will work with you. It doesn't matter what nationality. It's this whole idea of potentially sort of, human rights issues are separate from animal rights issues, and we can focus on one at a time. So we want to have a look at these two things. What these two sort of statements have in common is that they both suggest that human rights issues affecting Palestinians are entirely separate from animal rights concerns. And the suggestion is that the two concerns can be effectively separated. Issues affecting animals can be tackled without being impacted by the political and practical situation. And indeed, the second statement, as I say, suggests that Palestinians can somehow rise above the conflict and just do right for animals in spite of everything else. So we want to challenge some of these assumptions. In the first part of the presentation, we want to share the history of PAL and provide some examples of how the kind of human rights violations and animal abuse sort of interlinks within the occupied territories. And then we hope to demonstrate fundamentally that it may seem very obvious, but it's impossible for the team working on the ground to ignore the politics and just focus on the animals. And the simple reason for that is if Palestinians were able to ignore the political situation, then the occupation wouldn't be doing its job. The point of the occupation is to control the Palestinian population. So in order for that to work, they need to be constricted in many different ways. So we can have some audience participation, actually. When you hear Palestine, anyone that has been there, don't answer. Anybody, so talking to our kind of international friends, so I'm obviously not from Palestine. When you hear the word Palestine, what sort of words come to mind? Suffering, violence, apartheid. Okay, yeah, so we're thinking along the same lines. So occupation, war, conflict, settlements, human rights, war, terrorist, freedom fighters, injustice. And perhaps these, again, speaking as obviously I'm not Palestinian, and the images that spring to mind when you think of Palestine, would you agree that these are the kind of things that we see outside? More or less? Okay. So I think it's fair to say, and we can discuss this afterwards, in the eyes of the international community, the word Palestine evokes words and images similar to the ones we've just heard and the ones we've just seen. So wherever you stand personally on the sort of Palestinian issue, the Palestinian cause, when talking about Palestine, the ongoing conflict and occupation is unavoidable. It permeates everything. Our understanding, and I'm talking as a foreigner in this, our understanding of life in Palestine, particularly if we've never visited the region, is guided by the press, often a very biased press, who invariably report on the conflict and frankly little to nothing else. So it means that for most of us, day-to-day life in Palestine, we imagine it to be this kind of constant struggle, and that perhaps life there literally is just a struggle to survive. And of course, for some Palestinians, this is true, and particularly in Gaza. After the bombardment last summer, then areas of the Gaza Strip are still in ruins, and people there are in a desperate situation. In the West Bank, where most of PAL's work is carried out, illegal settlements, checkpoints, frequent clashes with the Israeli armed forces, and authorities lead to regular injuries, deaths, detentions. And it means that life's challenging in a way that, speaking for myself, I hope for most of us here in Europe, we might find that very difficult to comprehend. And for all those reasons, it's understandable why we're far more familiar with the sort of dramatic, divisive, harrowing photos that we're showing here, more than the ones that we're hopefully going to share with you now. So whilst the international reporting surrounding Palestine serves to highlight what's happening, as I say, it's often very biased, what's actually happening on the ground, and it fuels important debate because the conflict is a desperate situation that needs to be resolved, so it needs to be discussed. It also serves to uphold often negative stereotypes surrounding Palestinians, whereby they're portrayed only in roles which are directly related to the conflict, as victims, as terrorists, more positively as freedom fighters. Whether intentionally or otherwise, that serves to dehumanize the Palestinian population. And we fail in the international community, in some parts of the international community, to see them as individuals. And of course, as animal rights activists, we know what happens when we fail to see the individual and we start thinking of groups of any species as this sort of homogeneous mass. So to move on, Ahmed's now going to take over again. And we want to share some different ideas about Palestine and day-to-day life.
Yeah, I think I'm sure that there is some of you have been in Palestine, and this picture in the news were like doesn't relate it to the truth. So it is important to recognize that despite the challenges that caused by the political situation and ongoing conflict, which does impact upon every aspect of life for the Palestinians. The Palestinian people are not fundamentally defined by the conflict. Behind the image that we are so used to seeing, there is a life and there are families, friends and communities, societies, religion and culture. And also there is tradition. There is an art and dance and music, literature and food. There is an architecture, museum and galleries. There are some of the world and most historical important towns and cities, as well as breathtaking landscape, which are home and wildlife species. And of course, as in any society, there is a people who care deeply about the well-being of the animals. So there is the side of the Palestine that you feel and you know about it from the international press, and then there is a side that those outside of Palestine don't often get the opportunity to see. And in the middle, there is a point where those two sides of the life meet. And at this joining of the two sides of Palestine, where the idea for the Palestinian Animal League was conceived. The Palestinian Animal League, or PAL, was established in 2011 and grew out of the work that small groups of us had been doing with young people. Our team of youth workers who were all Palestinian, many of us born and raised in a refugees camp ourselves, began to see patterns and them emerging with regard to the way in which young people related to the animals in the region.
Okay, so the work of the group identifies something which had been the subject of academic debate. I think it's probably been discussed here as well for many years. And particularly thinkers such as the Reverend Andrew Lindsay, who's done an awful lot of work on this, and that's a strong link between human violence and animal abuse. So put simply, young children growing up in an environment where violence was normalized would come to see violence as normal. So at one end of the scale, the team were regularly witnessing young children throwing stones at cats and dogs, lashing out at them, kicking them if they came too close. And they also witnessed more serious, deliberate abuse and even torture and killing of animals by groups and individuals. So witnessing this on a regular basis gave the youth workers great cause for concern, not only for the animals, but of course for the children as well. And the team, which included Ahmed, included Sami, knew why this was happening. They knew because they'd been children growing up under occupation and had experienced what the children who were attacking the animals were experiencing now. When they were young, they saw family members and friends killed and injured. Some had their homes destroyed, and this is actually Ahmed and his sisters and friends when they were 10 on the remains of their house, which was destroyed. They saw people they loved, respected, and looked up to humiliated and hurt in often daily run-ins with the occupying forces. So they saw members of their family locked away in prison. They heard their grandparents and parents speak of their homes before 1948, the villages that they were forcibly removed from. When we looked at the map here, this was what was happening. From where they fled to refugee camps, where they and their families live to this day. Many of the older generation wear keys from their old home on cords around their necks, and this is a picture of Ahmed's late grandfather who passed away earlier this year, and to his death at 87, he would always have the keys to his home with him. As these constant reminders of what they lost and what they hope one day they'll be given the opportunity to return to. So all of these things combined meant the children, the most vulnerable members of human society, felt frustrated, angry, scared, and disempowered. And they take their frustrations out on animals. And as they did so, it not only further normalized the idea that violence was a legitimate outlet for their frustrations, but it led the children to believe that violence was the answer to, rather than the root cause of their problems.
To support the idea that we believed about it, there is many number of the story, but I will tell you this story. It was the last year when we were in some of our activities. We have working in a summer camp for the animal welfare, and we were teaching the kids about animal rights and appropriate food, which is vegan. And one of the kids stay away from the team, and I was witnessing and looking to the kids, and I saw him that there is a cat, and he just threw stones at at the cat, and he's like angry and shy in the same time. There is like you can see that the situation of this boy is not is not as it should be. I got close to him, and I really was trying to talk to him, because I can understand what is the situation, but I don't know what it is. There is something happened with him. So I was getting close to him, and we were talking. I asked him why you are doing this, and he said, everybody do this. Why me? I shouldn't do this. And I said, okay, but like, tell me what has happened, and like, how does this make you feel? And he said, I don't know. Everybody do this, and well, after a talk, and I didn't try to push him to talk, but like more asking more questions, then we like become closer, and he like relaxed to talking to me. Then he said to me, last night, the Israeli soldiers come and kidnap his brother from the home, and they tried to they hurt him, and they beat his brother inside the home, and they took him at that night, and his family don't know where he is, how is his situation, what he is doing, and for how long he will stay with the Israeli soldiers. And then I know what was going. I know that there is something wrong, and it is kind of like to normalize that there is nothing to tell the kids that this is wrong, because he already see it, that it's happened to him. So depend on this story, like whilst the boy's action toward the cat were unacceptable, it seems that clear that it was venting his frustration and fear toward about his older brother by lashing out at the cat. He wasn't an evil. I am sure that he was not an evil. None of like the kids are not evil. He was just scared and angry, and he had never been taught how to deal with those emotions. The butter seemed all too clear.
So violence was committed against the children and their families, which disempowered them. In order to feel powerful again and try and take some control over their lives. And then those children would look for someone more vulnerable than them, and that ended up resulting in violence against animals. But this in turn led to further normalization of violence, which feeds back into human society. And as those children become adults, they will be more likely to perpetuate the cycle of violence themselves, leading to potential for domestic violence between partnerships, parents and children, and kind of ongoing sort of series of abuse. So it was in recognition of the desperate need to break this cycle of violence, which is just going to keep perpetuating itself while the occupation continues, that PAL was founded. So what started as youth work, the guys recognized that their ability as normal Palestinian citizens to affect this stage, the oppression, you can't really do much about. Disempowerment, frustration and anger, that's a natural result of what's happening to you. So what do you do with that? They wanted to work with children to channel frustration into positive action, which in turn would empower the young people and would allow them to move away from this kind of vicious cycle of abuse and violence. And that was kind of the founding seed of PAL, where the idea was to work for animal rights and human rights as an integrated discipline and tackle those two things together.
So while we had seen from our work that human rights and animal rights were closely linked, it was not so easy to convince others to see the things in the same way that we see. At the first, work was criticized and dismissed within the Palestinian self. We found outright opposition. Some people thought that we are crazy. Really, we are crazy, our fantasy, and like this is, and this is what happened. The story when I was trying to register the PAL to be an official organization. I went to the Ministry of Interior Affairs, and I said, all of the documents I have it already, and all of the needed is existent. I delivered it, and I was waiting for a long time. And after about 2 months, after 3 months of keep asking and dialoguing, then the man said, like, he opened his heart to me, and he said, do you think, did we as a Palestinian solve all of our problem, and now we need to care about animals? And like he was trying to challenge me. And during that time, we have a problem with government employee and, land escalation and all of this trouble that we have at Palestine. There is trouble here and there, and it was like in 2008, the war, and after the war, we start working. And he keep asking me this kind of question. There is nothing to worry about it. Now you are going to worry about animals. Like, do you have a lot of time to be worried about animals? What are you doing in your life? And like, then I, like, there is some, like, he keep pressing my buttons that I will be angry now. I know that I will be angry if he keeps saying that, because he don't want to understand, and even he was waiting for the answer. For the answer for his questions. And I said, I really asked him, what do you think? What is Palestine? And like, I know this guy since a long time before. And I asked him, what is Palestine? Huh? Do you know why the people die or injured or go to the jail for like 20s and forever years in the jail because of Palestine? But what is Palestine? Can you tell me what is Palestine? And really, like, he didn't think that he have an answer, and I don't have answer. He know the answer, but he cannot like search in his mind and open his mind to know the answer. So I keep asking, do you think that Palestine is only a people? Only us, we are, like, the idea of Palestine is only us? And if we are only the idea of Palestine, we can make our country in the desert somewhere in Africa or South America, or even we can take a long space in Antarctica, because it's very, very huge and very big, and we can make Palestine and we can take our identity and we can solve the problems there, and everybody in the world will be relaxed. But this is not the idea. Palestine, and we will keep our identity. But this is what is the identity, by the way. If me is the identity of Palestine, I can be a Palestinian, and I can be Palestine by themselves. So you can call me Palestine next time. Well, I keep talking. I keep talking because, like, there is no choice for him to talk anymore, right? He was shouting, and then I said to him that Palestine cannot be people. At least there is the land which contain all of the things that the land contains. It contains trees, the sun, the air, the animals, all kind of animals, all kind of human, all kind of religion, whatever. Also, the ethics of Palestine, where is the hospitality, the welcoming, the respectful, and the rights, to respect the rights, the tradition. This is the identity, this is the idea of Palestine. And if you want to exclude all of this away, throw it away in the garbage in any way, and just bring that the people, we have to care about the problem of the people for Palestine, we can solve it now, I think. So, and at the end, I asked him, and I asked the official, the one who are above him, and I want a written declaration why you don't want the Palestinian Animal League organization in Palestine, while you have the league for Barcelona or Real Madrid football team. And we have people who are driving and drafting the cars and playing with the car. You give a license for those people to work, and you don't want to work. I need like this written. And then I will start interfere this. I will do this, and I will do this, and I will do this. I was threatened that I will publish this in the news, and I will talk about this in everywhere. That you don't with this idea. Then after that, I take the certificate, and we are officially after that time, and we become official. It's exactly in September 2010.
So, after PAL became official, beginning with educational activities which taught children to be kind to animals and appreciate and care for them. The work of the team has grown really quickly, particularly in the last sort of 2 years. So at the moment, there's about 300 active volunteers working with PAL at any one time. And it now encompasses animal rights summer camps, nature treks, which help children learn more about the importance of their own natural environment and the unique place they live in. Also ongoing programs of education with schools and community groups. And PAL teaches young people that accepting responsibility for their actions and choosing to be kind rather than showing aggression or violence is a really powerful and really empowering choice that they can make themselves. And of course, as you'd probably expect, the children have responded brilliantly with understanding, appreciation, and enthusiasm. Now, the group's newest project, anyone that's been to our stall in the last few days, you might have seen the report we've got there. Do come and see it afterwards if not. The most recent program is called Young Palestinians for Animal Rights, and it was actually run by Sami down here at the front. It's resulted in the last few months with 280 school children from 14 different schools developing their own child-led projects to protect animals in their local community. They've used really creative and innovative approaches to achieve this. They've theatre, art, workshops, cooking, activities, social media advocacy, all sorts of things. And one of the wonderful things about this project is that rather than these projects being led by adult teachers, PAL instead worked with 50 volunteers from 3 local universities to train them to act as mentors to the school children. So as a result, the young mentors were able to develop leadership and support skills whilst in turn passing on their newfound skills to the children. And the result of the program was that the children and the students felt very proud, rightly so, of their achievements and empowered in their ability to achieve positive change, not just for animals, but as part of their community in a wider sense. And we just want to share some of the feedback so this is 3 statements from 3 of the mentors that worked on this program. So Ahlam said, the program for the Animal League added a lot to my personality, increased my ability to share and give. Moreover, it helped me to make a positive change in the community, especially as most students lack awareness on this matter. There are a lot of issues that they face which need to be solved, so they need positive direction. Amira said this experience has been very beneficial to my personal development and my professional life. It's helped me overcome my fears of public speaking and gave me the skills to better communicate with different people. It's also improved my problem-solving abilities and my approach to finding new solutions to problems we face. The change that this group helps to bring has really uplifted me and made me feel very positive about the future of these issues. Ndina said, participating in this program has changed my attitude to many things. It gave me the confidence and ability to work as part of a team. And I now believe that I can share my knowledge and experience with others and help to change the situation. So in addition to raising awareness around the direct treatment of animals, the team also carries out outreach work surrounding food. So promoting vegan dietary choices and hosting events which allow people to learn about how to enjoy healthy plant-based nutrition. And as with everything else the group does, this work has a really strong tie to empowerment of local people and cultural regeneration because, as Ahmed's about to tell you, the traditional Palestinian diet is in fact largely vegan.
There is this, it is very, very long article. It is written during the British mandate from this researcher, and it was, and the good thing is that it is in English, and while we read it, and also from the spoken history from the old people, we discovered that historically the Palestinian diet was mainly vegetables and grain, and also delicious vegan food such as, I'm sure you know, falafel and hummus. Today, when I was in the shop, I went to buy hummus. I said, hummus, I want hummus. And said, we don't, what? They call 3 of the employee. I said, hummus. The hummus. So, yes, hummus, anything. Just I want these things. Yeah, there is, and in Palestine, you can say just, I want hummus and falafel. Then you find a lot of people, all of the shops like buying hummus and falafel. Like we have falafel and hummus and also tahini and of course olives have always been stable in the region. The eating of the meat was irregular, not just because of the cost, but also because of the custom. Meat simply didn't form the large part of the day-to-day diet of the Palestinians. In fact, the time that this started to change significantly was when the refugees crisis after 1948 began. Like the United Nations began offer the displaced families food supplies as a part of humanitarian aid effort. And one of the staples of this aid was tinned meat, which is a spam. As a result, meat began to form a major part of the diet for those families as a direct result of their refugee status. Not only did this change the diet of the people to become far more reliant on animal protein, but it has eroded important link with the traditional dietary practices, traditional farming practices, and the age-old connection that the Palestinian people had with the land itself. Despite the change, research has suggested that the Palestinian meat consumption per capita is lower than other countries in the region and far below the global average. And such as the adoption of mainly vegetarian and vegan diets by the Palestinians, it is not only good for animals, but it is also a powerful way in which that those under occupation can celebrate and continue the cultural traditions surrounding food. And they're using locally grown vegetarian and vegan produce also has to affect supporting the local economy, which is in turn is a powerful way in which that the Palestinians can take some control back. Again, another example of how helping the animals can also serve to empower the people.
Okay, so we've described the work of power presents positive examples of how working to empower people can also help animals and how working to help animals can empower people. So challenging pervading stereotypes, seeking to break negative cycles of violence, working with local people to reclaim traditional animal-friendly cultural traditions, and working with young people to empower them to lead groups in their community to create social change. And this all supports the development of civil society. So this can't help but have a positive impact on both human and animal society. And this work acts as a direct affront to those who suggest that human rights issues should be tackled independently of animal protection concerns. And I think demonstrates clearly that the two can be addressed in an integrated way in order to benefit the two. So we've considered how tackling animal rights concerns has the potential to impact human rights issues in a positive way. And as you've seen, we think this is the correct way to do it. However, we haven't answered the question over whether or not the explicit inclusion of commentary and work surrounding the political situation in the region is necessary in order to deliver POW's goals. So in short, if we didn't believe the issues should be tackled in tandem, is it possible for the team to forget the politics and focus on the animals, as it's been suggested on numerous occasions? So I want to provide an example, and forgive me this photograph. I want to provide an example of where this came into play. There were news reports, and some of you might recognize, because this picture was it was all over the media, certainly throughout Europe. And this is at Khan Yunis Zoo in the Gaza Strip. The zoo was dubbed in international press as the worst zoo in the world, and photographs of animals who had died and been subjected to rudimentary taxidermy like this lion were printed in press and online around the world. The state of the zoo and the deaths of the animals was largely put down to the 51-day bombardment of Gaza last summer. This prevented the zoo owner from reaching the animals, and a number of them starved to death, suffering horribly in the process. And immediately after the picture surfaced, a petition sprung up, as they want to do with these things, demanding, and I quote, "the zoo owner close the zoo and retire the animals to a sanctuary." The petition reached over 70,000 signatures in a matter of days. Now, one of our colleagues, Muna, wrote an article about the zoo from a local perspective. And in the article, she highlighted the belief as an animal rights organisation. Those of you know me, my background, I've worked on the issue of zoos for many years, that zoos are unacceptable institutions, and they clearly infringe animals' rights. She specifically recognised and supported the call to end breeding at the zoo in the first instance, and absolutely for the zoo to acquire no more animals. She pointed out, though, that moving animals out of Gaza to a sanctuary and closing the zoo was being demanded by those signing the petition was simply outside the realms of possibility for the residents of Gaza. Of course, a zoo owner makes a living out of profiting from these animals anyway, so the likelihood of convincing him to do that is always going to be unlikely. But that aside, this type of operation simply isn't within the power of the people to carry out, even if enough advocacy work could be done with the owner to convince him. And the point made by Muna in the article was that the blockade of Gaza and the closed borders meant that well-meaning calls to move the animals were frankly misguided, and that a solution for the animals in the long term could only be found as and when the area became safe from ongoing bombardment in the first instance, when the borders were reopened and when the blockade was brought to an end. And this was interesting because then the article was met with a huge amount of support. It was she's a wonderful writer. She wrote it brilliantly. It was met with a huge amount of support, but also I was really quite shocked at the amount of criticism, ranging from simply racist comments regarding barbaric Palestinians to angry responses, and this is where this came in, suggesting that any mention of difficulties in moving the animals to a safe haven was a case of making excuses and putting politics ahead of the needs of the animals. This was accompanied by demands of just rescue the animals. It wasn't clear from many of the comments who was being charged with the rescue mission or who was supposed to be carrying it out. Obviously, if only the people of Gaza were in a position to open the borders in the name of such a good cause. If that were the case, of course, humanitarian aid would have reached the area by now, and the rebuilding process of the areas devastated may have begun, and it hasn't.
Well, when all of the time the people said to me that this is animal right, it's very far away from the politics and not Palestinian, like some people, and some of them Palestinian, but the majority was out of Palestine. And I was, when I was outside of the country, I was like thinking that I'm really close to be convinced that we can separated the politics and the animal rights. But when I returned back to Palestine, I said, no, what the hell we were talking about? This is Europe and this is Palestine. And a month ago, we were working, me and Sameh and a team from 20 vet students at Tulkarem. And we were doing the census for the stray dogs because we were preparing for the TNVR project that we are planning to do. And during our work, we were working during the night from 11 to 5 in the morning, from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m. And there is two accidents happened with us. Close to the refugees camp in Shemesh, there was a military action for the Israeli soldiers, and our volunteers feel unsafe to stay in this area, so they called us and we said that run away and forget about this work in this area this time. And in the other cases, which is also Area A, two groups of our volunteers have been caught by the Israeli Jeep military inside the city of Tulkarem, while they have their vest, and in their vest that they have a big stamp, animal right, Palestinian Animal League, and they stopped them for nearly 1 hour. They were checking about their ID, what you are doing, why you are doing this, and they were like so much suspicious about this, and this is one of the cases. The other cases, this is internal Palestine, I will say, about the freedom of movement inside Palestine. Also, during the things that has happened, that was Liz talking about the situation in the zoo in Gaza. I have never been in Gaza because it's not allowed for the Palestinian in West Bank to go to Gaza, and it's not allowed for the people in Gaza to go to West Bank. While we think that we are under, it is one authority or one state or one land, but it is not. And also, what is more important, and during this crisis after the war, our organization were working so much hard to send a pump for the water for the zoo, because they destroyed the pump when they bomb it, and we couldn't send this pump. And we were trying to send food, and we couldn't also send food because the block didn't allow for any kind of material to enter Gaza, even like machines or food or even medicine. And also it's very hard to send for them money because we will accuse that we are supporting terrorism. Terrorism, yeah, not tourists, yeah. So this is internal Palestine. Also another story that it's happened recently. We got invited. One of our friends who were here put us in connection with the group of animal rights activists in USA. And I was planning to go, but this is like another story. How I will go? How I will go to the American embassy in Jerusalem while there is a wall, and if I go, I will be like, I did it once, and after I did it, also this troublemaker, he was telling me, let's do it again, and I will show you from where to jump above the wall, so I can go and deliver my passport and put my finger stamp for the American embassy. I said no, because after I did it in Ramadan, a couple of days after, 3 Palestinians have been shooted in the areas while they are trying to jump above the wall. So I said no, I will save my life. And one of our volunteers who have American passport, she attended the conference in USA. This is one like about how it's affect internal movement to the even external movement. And even if we have to travel, if we want to come to Europe or any places in the country, only Jordan that you don't ask for a visa from the Palestinian. This is the only cage that we can pass to Jordan. And to go to Jordan, we have to change five buses, 5 transportation ways, and we have to cross 4 checkpoints. With the Israeli in the beginning, and they have different machine to check you, then you have to go to the passport, to the checking you, stamp your passport with the Israeli, and they have different machine to check you out. Then you have to across the area, and you have to pick up your bags, then you have to return your bags again to the buses, then you have to go to the Jordan, and they have different way of checking you. And this mean it will take like the distance between Ramallah and Amman, about 90 kilometers. And like if you are driving in the car, you can, and you are slowly, you can make it in 1 hour. But in our case, me and Samih, our flight to come to Luxembourg was at 3 a.m. So we left Palestine at 9 a.m. a day before, because we need to spend the time, and also the border closed it's open in certain hour each day. And the day that we left, it was open from 8 until 1. Then it is closed because they have their program. And if the Israeli employee said that we will make a strike because we are asking to increase our wages, so let the Palestinian instead. No, and this is the only way for the Palestinian to go is through Jordan borders. Well, another case that has happened with us, especially with our working with animal rights. One of our colleagues, he is a vet, a student at Tulkarem University, and he was planning to go to attend a course about trapping and neutering animals in UK. And he delivered all of the papers that it's needed, and it's written in the application, and all of the procedures was good. Then after a month and a half, maybe, they come to him and said, you are refused because you didn't give us these proofs. While these proofs exist, but you didn't ask about them before, and it is not written inside the application, and you didn't even bother yourself, email or call to say that give us the proof for this. And also they said to him that you don't have in the letter that they have it, you don't have the right to come and talk, and to deal with us again. This is kind of the movement, unless that about how much is very expensive for us to move from to move from Palestine to Jordan, it costs a lot, and also to take a plane. Some of our volunteers know how much it's very expensive to take the tickets for the plane from Jordan to Luxembourg instead of taking it from Tel Aviv to Luxembourg. It is totally high. There is a big gap between of the prices between the two areas.
And then the final case study we're going to share with you is about our work to try and establish the first focused animal welfare law in the occupied territories. So when we're trying to develop an animal protection law to act as a base, because at the minute there's nothing there. But we're faced with the fact that currently 25 members of the Parliament Cabinet of the Palestinian government are currently under administrative detention. And administrative detention is effectively imprisonment without charge or trial, and it can be renewed indefinitely. So people have been, that have been in administrative detention for 10 years, yes, with never actually having charges brought against them or being brought to trial. So 25 members of the Palestinian cabinet are currently under administrative detention, and the members of the parliament are split between Gaza and the West Bank. And as Ahmed said, then they can't travel. So the members of parliament have to get special permission to even go to work, basically. So obviously that means that action to implement new legislation it's complicated. It requires following a complex kind of temporary, makeshift, lengthy process. And there's no guarantees that in that environment, that animal welfare laws, animal protection laws are going to be implemented given the other pressures. Despite this, we're continuing to work with authorities towards regulatory change, and they are on board with it. If legal protection for animals is possible, its application is further complicated by, Ahmed mentioned at the outset, that the now fragmented map of Palestine, in that green area, the Palestinian Authority, so the government actually only has full control over 2% of the occupied West Bank. So if we can get a law implemented, then its actual application is very limited because so much of the West Bank remains under complete control of the Israeli authorities. So, finishing up now, in light of the very few examples we've given, we hope it's becoming clearer why the suggestion that Palestinians should forget the politics and focus on the animals is completely unrealistic. As we mentioned from the outset, if Palestinians were in a position to ignore the occupation wouldn't be doing its job. So in conclusion, we make the argument that in order to tackle animal protection issues, this work must go hand in hand with work surrounding the current human rights violations. Indeed, working on one or other or the both will serve to benefit civil society and allow for further and more effective work to protect animals in the future. We believe firmly that the work of PAL is achieving this and will continue. We hope to do so in years to come. But as restrictions on people are reduced, then the work for animals will be able to continue and have more impact. While restrictions on people persist, this necessarily limits their ability to act for animals.
This is one of the, like I always say it, and I am totally convinced about this this quote by Ahmad Safi too. As the victims of the obsession, we should know better than anyone that impact that has on others, and this should mean that Palestinian, more than most people, should be working to protect all vulnerable individuals, animal and people, because we feel pain and we have suffered from the pain, that we know what does the pain mean, and we know how it is effect for the other being, and so that we should stop it and we should work to stop it because we know how it is. And in the other one of the most, like also one of the very deep things that I am always speaking when I meet the volunteers, that if we get rid from the occupation tomorrow, we will find that all of this mess in our societies need to be built. But I'm always thinking that we cannot wait until get rid to occupation to start working. No, if we can remove stones from the way, we should remove it. Each one can remove the stones in the power that he can. Like, do the things that while we are thinking, while I'm talking to our volunteer, do what you can and build the countries in the way that you think is good. Just build it before it's come, because when I'm thinking about to prepare the institution is not as an office and a chair and start working and like a system. The institution is the community. The institution comes from the ground. If we are ready from the ground, then we can build the institution of any kind of institution, any kind of thoughts, because the theory and the thoughts exist in the ground, so we can be ready for anything in the future. And we cannot wait until everything, the occupation solved, to do our life. This is our life and we know what to do it, and we have to do it in the same way. Even if we are under occupation or we are not under the occupation, we have to work in this area as much as we can. And this is all. And now I think
we've got time, yeah.
Yeah, we have time, and
so we're going to, just before we open up for questions, that's kind of the end of our talking. But we wanted to share with you, anyone that was here yesterday when Ahmad did the morning update, we were saying that there was a video that we wanted to share with you that had been created as part of that Young Journalist program. So this was actually, rather than created by the children, this video was created by two of the young mentors who were working on this program. It was, I don't know if he's here, it was filmed and edited by Craig, who was out there at the time. And this is just to kind of basically to let you hear some voices that you don't normally hear. So I'll run it for you. I should probably say, you've probably noticed, and I think Ahmad mentioned this yesterday, we're not too fixed on terminology, so there's lots of talk of animal welfare and animal rights. In terms of our approach, it is, we're an animal rights organisation, but we're not too hung up on the terminology when we're talking to the public, because it's kind of this starting from scratch. So that's just to preempt any questions on that, but happy to discuss it afterwards. Let's see if this works now.
احنا نزلنا على الشارع سألنا كثير ناس عن الرفق بالحيوان، واللي احنا عرضنا احنا قدام الفيديو هو عينة عن اللي احنا عملنا كثير اشياء عشان تبين للناس ايش هو الرفق بالحيوان وتوعيهم عن ايش هو الرفق بالحيوان.
جبت الدفتر كتبت الشغل عليه. الموضوع سهل بس مش عارف يعني كان في مجال. ايش رايك عن الرفق في الحيوان كبداية؟
الرفق في الحيوان وإنه منيح، يعني بتقدر الحيوان وتحن عليه، يعني هو دير بالك إنه منيح الحيوان.
طب إيش رأيك في رفق الحيوان في فلسطين؟ يعني وصلنا لهي المرحلة ولا لسه؟
في ناس بتوصل لهي المرحلة وفي ناس بتحبش ترافق الحيوان.
في رأيك لازم يكون الكل صح؟
مظبوط.
طب يعني أنت بتشجع انه يكون في قانون لحماية الحيوانات ولا بتفكر انه شيء تافه؟
لا لازم يكون قانون، يعني واحد ضرب كلب مثلا يحاكموه.
يعني هذا إشي منيح وإشي مطلوب من الناس انهم يرفقوا في الحيوان، والحيوان يعني روح في النهاية وواجب احترامه والعطف عليه.
طب ايش رايك برفق بالحيوان بفلسطين؟
صفر.
فيش رفق بالحيوان؟
يعني في، مش ما فيش، بس مش زي ما هو مطلوب او مش كالمطلوب. يعني في رفق في الحيوان بس بتعاملوش معاه كحيوان، مخربين عليه، يعني ما بتعاملوا منيح مع الحيوان. بدها يعني لقدام بدها توعية وبدها إشي علشان الناس تصير تفهم.
طب لو بدنا نحط قوانين للرفق بالحيوان، ايش اول قانون بتحطه او بتقترحه؟
إن إنشاء مستشفى إلهن خاص في الحيوان، التعامل معهن يعني مش ضرب، مش قتل،
طبعا لازم يكون الرفق بالحيوان موجود، لأنه حتى الحيوان عنده روح وبشعر وبحس يعني زيه زي البني آدم. بالنهاية إحنا كلنا كائنات وبدها تعيش وإحنا كلنا متساويين يعني بنظر الطبيعة.
طب إيش رأيك الرفق بالحيوان بفلسطين؟
يعني بفلسطين ما في هالقد رفق بالحيوان والموضوع ما في عليه شغل، وهذا طبعا لأنه في عدم ثقافة والناس ما بتفهم وبتعتبر أي إشي حجمه أصغر منه يعني أضعف منه، وإنه نقدر نستقوي عليه ونأذيه. ولازم يكون في توعية أكتر حتى من البلديات، يعني لما هدول الحيوانات اللي منتشرة تكون بالشوارع المفروض ما تتسمم أو تنطخ، يعني المفروض يكون في مركز يلمها ويضبها.
طب ايش تقترح نحط قوانين لرفق الحيوان؟
أول إشي لازم يصير في قوانين ضبط، يعني اللي بطب أو بأذي حيوان أو يعني أي روح يروح للمحكمة طبعا، يدفع غرامات. كنبلش يعني كمبدئي، وممكن إحنا نبلش إنه نفتح مراكز لتصير هاي الحيوانات اللي بتكون بالشارع ممكن تأذي، تروح المراكز يعني تهتم فيها وتنعرض للتبني. يعني
بالنسبة لهذا الحيوانات طبعا هون في هذا مجتمعنا العربي مش الكل بيهتم فيهم، مش الكل بيطعميهم، مش الكل يعني بيشوفوا كلب بيهتموش فيه، بس بيطخوا
استضعاف.
مش كتير بيهتموا في شو اسمه الحيوانات، بس شاطرين في شيء تاني طبعا.
ايش رايك كيف ممكن نوصل لمرحله المجتمعات الثانيه؟
كيف يعني؟ قصدك التطور يعني؟
كيف بدنا نوصل؟
لا احنا مش رايحين نوصل، لا مستحيل، لا
ما ينفعش هيك، اشتغل على الموضوع يعني لازم.
كيف بدنا نوصل؟ بنوصل ان شاء الله كمان 20 سنه.
هلا كيف؟ ان شاء الله بنوصل بعد 20 سنه، بس كيف؟ ايش كخطوه اولى؟
كخطوه اولى بس يفتحوا علينا الطرق والمحاسيم. احنا هون محاصرين، يعني احنا مضغوطين، في شيء شو اسمه حياه، مش شيء.
استنتجناه من التجربه اللي سويناها اليوم انه في كثير ناس عندها نقص في الثقافه مع التعامل مع الحيوانات، وكثير ناس بتفكر انها اعلى مكانه من الحيوانات، واللي حاولنا نسوي انه ننشر الوعي عن طريق التكلم مع الناس واعطاء اقتراحات انه كيف ممكن نتعامل مع الحيوانات وكيف ممكن نرتقي ونوصل لمجتمع يتعامل مع الحيوانات بطريقه صحيحه.
Okay, so if anybody's got any questions, I guess, is there anyone around with the mic? Oh yeah, you're down there, cool. I can't actually see people very well from here.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. I think it's there might not be a better place for animal rights work than places of constant war and other struggles. I have actually two questions. The first is, you not only have the Israel occupation forces, but you also have in the Palestinian territories like the Hamas, and they actually need people all of the time that share their views that violence is the solution to the problems. So my first question is, did you get any repression from them? And the second question is, do you have any cooperations with progressive forces in Israel? Because I heard somewhere that is like the most vegan country in the world. I don't know about animal rights, but yeah.
Well, it is. I don't think is the right contest to equal the position of the occupier with the people who are under occupation. So when you mentioned that Israel and Hamas in the same place, that I would like to put the things in the right place. There is some people who are fighting to get the freedom, and there is some people who are occupying. And if I can give you later some of the article from the Israeli writer, and also this Israeli writer said that this is how it will be if you put someone in the corner and you keep isolating him and prevent from him the food and water and all of means of the life, and you will accept and you will accept and expect the reaction that he will do it in any way that he can do it. And if you go, if you have were following the news during the 3 wars against Gaza, we are not talking about equal war between two countries. It is a massive destruction, war against the people who have nearly any mean to defend about themselves. So sorry, we don't have a problem with our government. We have a problem with the occupation, and also with the occupation we have very huge problem because of I would like to go through this. There is industrial zones, that this industrial zone for the Israeli built in the settlement, and it is not allowed to be worked inside the Israeli areas because the pollution and untreated waste that they are throwing it in the farming area, and it is polluted the water spring and the water resource and the agriculture for farming. And also we have a documented video and also pictures for a helicopter, Israeli army helicopters who were, and also Israeli jeeps who are throwing, distributing the wild pigs, wild boars in the Palestinian land as a biological weapons against the Palestinian farmers, and also to be surrounding the settlement. And also we have also this big problem with the retirement dog and some of the corrupted shelters and sanctuary inside Israel. Instead, they are put the dogs for adoptions or for the treatment. They put it in the truck, and they threw it behind the wall, and there is no way for this animals to return back for this because they can't. This is very small things that the animal rights organization inside Israel, if they are really working on animal rights organization, and if they are really want to do something important for the people around, and they respect the rights in general, not about animal rights, they have to work about it. And one of the most important things that recently they started is the gas defracting. This is it is not allowed in most of Europe, and also in USA. It is in some places it's allowed, and this must be very far from the places that the people live. But now they are doing it under the Palestinian villages close to the coast. There is many problem. That in the animal right issues that we are suffer from the Israeli occupation themselves, and also we have been decided, and this is a decision, we will not accept any help or any coordination which is policies and it have agendas. After the occupation end, we can work with anyone all in the world. Before the occupation end, we will not work with any organization. They can solve, they are great, they are important, they are like whatever you can give them any kind of description, they are whatever they are. But we will not work with them unless the occupation ends. Then we can open our relation with all of the people all around the world. And another thing also I want really to tackle it is we don't accept any funds which have political agendas, because this area is full of issues, and a lot of players want to work inside Palestine, and this has happened with us, and we refuse it. We are refusing to take any political agendas fund for the Palestinian Animal League. Thank you if this answers your question. Is there any question?
Yeah. Hi, thank you for your presentation. My question is concerning technology. Which technology can you use? Is there any restriction on the World Wide Web you can use? Is there any restriction on cell phones? Is it controlled by Israel, or is it controlled from Jordania or something like that? How does that work, and how does it affect you as an animal rights organization?
Well, this is really I like this question, because it is not only about the technology, and I recently discover how much it is very wide, the restrictions on even something that I didn't know about it before. we were working about, we are working to try to make a trapping, and neutering, and vaccination and release project in Tulkarem. And we discovered that very big list of drugs and pain relief and antibiotics are not allowed to enter Palestine. I don't know, like, I am not a medicine, but I don't know what is the effect of this medicine against the security of Israel. Also, it is not allowed for any means that to catch the dogs or some or to the equipment. So all of this is manufacturing by Palestinian ourselves, and in like what we called it in the ancient ways, like and I will give because Liz, who was following all of this, I will give her to talk about this issue exactly for the TNVR project. But also in Palestine, we don't. It is not allowed to use 3G and also 4G. I don't know also why we are always use the. Now the 3G and 4G is not allowed, and also everything is you say it, everything you write it in any means of communication. It is registered, and there is a keyword, very huge keywords on their computers, and if you say it, you will find in the after 2 a.m. that the jeeps in the front of your home, and they want to investigate you while you write. And it's happened in Jerusalem. One of the guys write a post for his friend and for his family, forgive me, and after 1 hour, the Israeli jeeps and the police come and arrest him, and they thought that he will committed something because he wrote only forgive me, but he was like and he make a mistake with his friends and his families, and he wrote a post for him, forgive me, and the Israeli soldiers come and catch him, and he to be investigated. This is like we have a lot of restriction in this, and I would like if Liz
training or
about how we will deal with the drugs.
Okay. Yeah.
The drugs issues for the TNVR project.
Yeah, so we've hopefully now secured funding for the TNVR program, which is really exciting. But we're having to find ways around the fact that, as Ahmed said, some of the veterinary medicines aren't available that we would preferably use. And so what it means is that actually we're going to have to use more drugs in the program, because the analgesic that we are going to have to use, because we have no other option. I'm not a vet, but I'm told by vets that it's quite harsh on, there's a number of side effects, and so there's going to have to be more medication used in the TNVR program in order to limit and counter those side effects. So it's all of these kind of complications that, in fact, before we started doing the research for this and the stakeholder engagement back in March this year. It's been quite a long-running project. And when we first sat down with the main stakeholders, from the police to the municipalities to the Ministry of Agriculture, there was an awful lot of confusion about what was even possible, because there were just so many obstacles to, you're not allowed this, you're not allowed that, you're not allowed the other, where you can have that, but it might not make it through customs. So we're trying to get, for example, training for the vet students, and because we don't currently have the equipment in Palestine, it will have to be manufactured. We had a consultant who was willing to come out and work for free with all of the students, bring their equipment, but basically we can't take that risk, because the likelihood is the equipment will be confiscated, and this guy who's giving his time to us would lose that. So what we're having to do instead is transport a group of volunteers to Jordan so that they can go meet him there and have the training. So it's just another one of these obstacles in trying to get around these things, which is very complicated.
Hello, I want to thank you for the presentation, because it rings a bell for me very much, because I'm from Ukraine, and we currently have civil war and informational war, and also a partial occupation. So your work is very inspiring, your animal rights movement. But I have a question regarding establishing an organization, because on the recent animal rights gathering in Ukraine, we had kind of a big discussion if we really need to establish an officially organization, or it has to stay a kind of grassroots movement? Because some of the disadvantages are like you spend too much time on documents, you spend too much time on legislation and stuff. And can you please tell me what were the biggest advantages for you? What were your goals, and what did you get from establishing an official organization? Thank you.
Yeah, it is the only thing I know about Ukraine is from the news, and I know that the situation is not all right, and I wish that this crisis pass away without hurting more and more people. On the other side, we registered the organization to start get funds from outside, because we cannot, if it is a grassroots organization, we cannot get funds from outside, and if we will get the fund by the names of us, we will be called by the Israeli authorities and investigated why you got this fund, what you will do with this fund. So it is more safe for us and more better to be registered as an official organization and working with the rules that we have it, that the Palestinian Authority did it, and also in this way that we can, only in this way, if we register it, we have a financial account in the bank, and we can receive the funds to this account. So this is one of the reasons, and also if we want to tackle one of the like the law project that we are working on, we have to be registered. That we have it must be that organization with.
We need to be an entity.
Yes, an entity organization to call for making a law or changing something on the legislation policies. And thank you.
Somebody else?
There's someone down here.
Hi. A simple question. What is the best way to support you?
You want me to answer?
In anything, you are sitting here and listening to us, you will support. If after you finish and you write these things in the social medias and you tell your friend, this is kind of support. If you even talk verbally to your people, to your friends in your country or in different places about us, this will support. We are talking about an organization. This is one of the part. And the other part, and this is like one of the good news, and I would like to point at is now the last year we decided to make the dream team with those guys, and now we have the dream team are really on the fact. We have a supported charity in UK, and we have also a team who are working and helping us in Italy. Some of our team will go to Italy and attend the conference. And this team in Italy, they did. They sell the products, merchandise that we have it, and the funds he sent it to us. There is many ways, and I would like to, if you are interested, and if anybody interested in this, we are really appreciate if we can be spread all around, and if there is any activities in your place and you can reach it, you can represent BAL. And we can offer for you the leaflets that we have, and whatever we can offer for you that we can, and we'll be appreciate this. And really thank you for this question.
And can I add one more thing to that? Also, we've been speaking to some of you guys from our stall as well. We've got an amazing group of people who've been helping us translate things as well. So literally every time we get something translated into a new language, we're literally moving into another country. So we've got our main information translated at the minute into German, French, Arabic, obviously, English, Italian, Spanish. Any other languages out there, if you guys have got time and there's no rush, anything like that, just get in touch and we'd really love that kind of thing. Or, you know, if you've got a blog platform or anything like that, just any kind of short post if you're interested in what we've been talking about, just to say, hey, this group exists. And actually at the minute, that's a really big deal because, hey, this group exists is quite... I'm speaking of the team on the ground, not me, that this group exists is really quite awe-inspiring and to give the guys who are working there as much support as possible, that would be really wonderful.
And I will mention also our friend in Australia, that we have a friend who heard about us and he make a radio, he wrote a lot of articles and he called me on Skype and he make an interview and he published it in the radio in Australia. And we have also a friend for us, we are building this team in USA and Canada to start also supporting us, and I'm really thanking all of those people who are helping us in any way in all over the world.
Yeah, the more the merrier. Are we out of time now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone.